We're back with a big South African story that happened in Gauteng. The health aid has been suspended over Tembisa graft. Basically, the head of Gauteng Health Department, Malutana, has been immediately suspended by the premier. And we'll be to discuss the implications, ramifications, and the political discussions is Mustafa and Alex. I'm still Afalabia. Welcome to another political show.
Okay, so like we said, South Africa, things are getting dark. You have a ambassador who jumps off of a building. You have a whistleblower, a woman who gets shot in her
Murdered.
home after
Murdered.
dropping her children. She gets shot by after dropping her children to school because she blew a whistle about politicians, people linked to Ramaphosa making billions off of tenders for a hospital that's supposed to help sick people. People are dying, and now even the premier of Gauteng didn't want to fire this guy, but finally he had to suspend the guy. He's not giving any reasons because the political pressure is too much, and it seems like everybody connected to Ramaphosa is involved in a lot of dirt. This is definitely the looks bad for the ANC. Um, now that this has happened, they say that the special investigation unit says that there was a lot of covering up by the head of the health department. They said that he also was taking money to overlook misappropriation of funds and also giving tenders. So it's clear they're not going to say what evidence. They're not going to give exact evidence, but it's clear this guy is really dirty and he's falling on his sword. He's going to get suspended. I bet you he's not going to talk and implicate anybody above him. But this is very bad for South Africa. Once again, I want to go to those people, the Dudula. Dudula go into hospitals looking for foreigners, kicking them out, saying that our health belongs to South Africans and is bad. They need to go to Parliament. They need to go to Swane or Pretoria, whatever you call it, and say this shit needs to stop from our own government because the South African government is destroying the lives of Black and colored South Africans and even whites. The corruption is to a point where I'm not a proponent of DA, but I'm beginning to wonder, is DA better than ANC? They might be. Because even though DA is white supremacist, I don't believe under their wake there would be this level of corruption in which hospitals, money for hospitals, billions of rand are being misappropriated. This is very, very bad, and it's a very bad sign of what's going on in South Africa. And now that this guy has been suspended, I want to see what the final result of this is. We want to see what the result of the police guy who Lucky, the guy, or in Clonclaw, whatever, the guy that showed police were covering up for crime syndicates in Durban. All of these stories,
Panas.
yeah, Palazzi, all of these stories keep lingering, but we never have convictions. Even Zuma is still going to court for things that happened 10 years ago. So it shows that corruption in South Africa, they just keep kicking down the road. By the time they convict Zuma, he'll be dead. You understand what I'm saying? He'll be dead. By the time they convict him, he'll be dead. So he doesn't care. So there needs to be accountability for the ANC and for the Black leaders in South Africa, because it's up to the Black leaders in South Africa to make that Black South Africans are treated the way they're supposed to be treated. In the Rainbow Nation, you should not have to go to the hospital and there's no materials because Ramaphosa's nephew and some other businessmen are taking the money. Alex, what was the name of the guy that they took his Porsches and all of his cars? The one that they seized his stuff. What was his name?
Maumela,
Mamela. Have they arrested him?
Hangwani.
Or have they arrested him, or they just seized his stuff?
They just seized the stuff and all his bank accounts are
Yeah.
frozen.
So can you imagine money that's supposed to be going? You go to the hospital, you're bleeding, or you have cancer, and there's no beds, there's nothing. But meanwhile, these guys are driving around in cars that they don't even need. I'm being funny, but if I was a criminal and I was taking money from South Africa, I wouldn't even need a car. Uh I'll take Uber everywhere I go because I don't want to steal too much and get caught. But these guys are so greedy that have to pay rent or things like that. You don't need to steal more. So what I'm saying is that the level of greed of these guys is destructive. If someone told me I'm going to give you, if someone told me now they would give me 200,000 rand a month to live in South Africa and I would just teach, I would do it. I don't even need to steal or need more. So what I'm saying is these guys, their greed takes to the level of evil where it's no longer about money. It's just about being evil and terrible, killing people, shooting a woman on her way after she drops her child because you want to continue taking more than 2 billion. What are your thoughts, Alex, about all of this? Sorry, I got off topic because we're talking about the head of the department being health department being sacked. Not sacked, but suspended. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Lisiba being suspended to me is just a bit underwhelming. I was
Yeah.
expecting more because he has been linked to multiple scandals, including in 2023, he was linked to this $8 million rands bribery thing scandal that happened, but he was never convicted. He never went to court. Um, like he's been, you know,
Yeah.
involved in corruption. He's been stealing government money. So the fact that he's just suspended is really not satisfying. And
No,
also, why has the premier taken so long to suspend him, even though he knows that he has been linked to various scandals before this Tembisa thing got out? Why wasn't
yeah.
he suspended then?
Hmm. And it goes even higher than that because Ramaphosa is the president of South Africa, so he knows all of this is going on. Why didn't he take action too? And then Ramaphosa will now say to the premier, he'll now suspend the premier too, but he can't be suspended because he's the president, right? This is terrible. What are your thoughts, Alex? Before we go to Falabi, yeah. It's terrible. No accountability. Yeah.
There's literally no accountability in South Africa. Like you said, even Zuma, he is never gonna get convicted, honestly. It
No,
seems like as long as you have money and you have these connections, you'll never really go to jail. You
no,
know, I
no,
feel like Hangwan is definitely still going to still continue stealing money. And the fact that Ramaphosa is now claiming that he's never met Hangwani ever
oh,
at all. He said this in the court, and I was so surprised because there were videos which
yeah.
showed Ramaphosa in the same vicinity of that mansion that Hangwani built. So how is that possible? It's just really annoying, and it's a hopeless situation
No, it's hopeless.
because if our own president is involved in this corruption and the lies, then will it ever end? At this point, they're just like pushing us towards DA, even though we know that those are racist people, but we're being pushed there because it feels like
Yeah,
the only right choice, and it's kind of
and
not.
I hate to say, and here's the problem. So if DA comes in, they don't need to do corruption because they already control the wealth of the country. A lot of white people and businesses. But what they would do is they won't spend money on things like Tembisa Hospital and those things. But I would prefer that you don't spend money. Then you spend money and then you just give it to some people to support criminals and things. You get my point. This is really bad. And I've never thought I would ever say this. That DA, if you told me tomorrow, put a gun to my head, vote for DA or ANC, I'll vote for DA. Now that doesn't mean if you said MK Party or maybe EFF. I'll
EFF.
still vote for those. I'll still vote for those ones, but also those ones are corrupt. But this level of corruption that the ANC is doing is really, really, really deep and bad. We know that Malema has done some scandals and stuff, but I don't think Malema would take it to this level. Even Zuma, I don't think he'll take it to the level that Ramaphosa has taken, the level of greed. And not just greed,
Yeah,
violence. We all know Ramaphosa gave the green light for them to kill those people in Maracana. He gave the green light.
yeah, he did.
He gave the green light to kill. Ramaphosa is a cold-blooded psychopath, and what makes him dangerous is that he's polite. He'll smile with you. If you insult him, he won't fight you. He'll smile. He said you're a good guy. Then maybe 3 weeks later, you have a car accident. And they say, "Oh," and he'll come to your funeral and say, "We really miss him. He was
He's a
a friend."
sociopath.
Yeah, he's a sociopath, and sociopaths are very nice people. When you see people like Malema and Zuma that shout at you, or not even Zuma, but Malema, those aren't sociopaths because they don't even know how to pretend. They're just passionate people. A true sociopath will smile on your face, shake your hand, will even give you a hug, and later on something will happen to you and nobody will know. And that's how Ramaphosa is. That guy is bloody, and if there's no accountability, then the people of South Africa have to hold him accountable. And they have to hold the whole system because South Africa's legal system, their parliament, everything, all of it is not functioning because it's allowing criminals to continue to do criminal things that are in office. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
The level of corruption and impunity of the ANC all under President Cyril Ramaphosa's administration is just sickening. You know, it's sick to the marrow. And if you look at it, Ramaphosa, though is not directly implicated, but the case reinforces perceptions that his government fails to curb corruption that is entrenched. And he's culpable, whether he likes it directly or indirectly. Now, people are not trusting ANC anymore because they have credibility crisis, and he's using this kind of old state capture style networks that are, basically operating at the provincial level. And if you look at it, the Premier Payanza Lesufi, his administration could face instability, and the probe is going to get wider, and the implication of this is going to affect the premier himself, his administration, and their credibility. And if you look at ANC's electoral popularity, this case is going to affect it, especially in Gauteng, where public frustration with corruption is already very high. So I don't know, this just casts aspersion over the credibility of the ANC. And if you look at it, Ramaphosa, one way or the other, keeps getting himself into this quagmire of corruption, impunity, and people are not just trusting him anymore.
No. And it's terrible. And you know what's funny? I think I'm right. I think the guy replacing him is white. Do you see what I'm saying? If you can't get the job done by a black man, call a white man, they're not corrupt. Do you see the symbolism? I think the guy who's replacing him, I think, is Afrikaan. I need to double check on the research. But isn't that terrible? And you know what? Now that they're putting the Afrikaan guy in there, I know that there won't be that level of corruption anymore. I know it. I'm just saying intuitively. What does it say for me to say that if you put in a white guy rather than a black guy, that we know that, or not a black guy, but an ANC guy, you put in I don't know if this guy is ANC.
I after apartheid, it's like they planned it carefully. They're like, let's just give them this freedom and let us watch them destroy their own selves, so that at the end they come back to us and be like,
Yeah, that's what it
maybe
is.
when white people were ruling, it wasn't that bad. And that's what's happening. Like, well, our leaders, our black leaders have been a huge distraction. I mean,
Let me make my
distraction.
sorry. His name is Darian Barkley. So when I heard the name Barkley, but he's a color guy. Yeah, but still, he's
Oh,
Barkley.
he's colored.
He's Barkley. Anyway, yeah, he's color, but still, it's just we all know the corruption. It's just funny. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just Barkley. So I made a mistake. But this is really, really bad, though. And aside from that, we still feel that the DA is more trustworthy than the ANC and even MK Party. Look at MK Party. Trust me, I'll never vote for DA over MK. But in MK Party, Zuma's daughter, the corruption, all these people fighting. Who was the guy that went there? Shivambu. All of these guys, and I know what it is because a lot of these guys who were fighting in the ANC and stuff, fighting South Africa before it became independent. They suffered so much, so now they're just greeted. You know what they call nouveau rich? Oh, now I have power. I must be rich. I must have 10 mansions, everything. But that's not. They have to remember that they have to serve the people. Sorry, what I cut in front of you, Alex. What were you saying? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was basically saying that we're really being pushed to have that trust in the DA. The
Yeah.
DA is gonna do better. It's going to be our redeemer. The economy is gonna do well if it's a white person leading South Africa. And that has always been the plan, low key. They've really, it's like giving a bunch of ants like all the sugar they want and watching from the distance and watching them fight over it, be greedy and whatnot. And you as I don't know, the major ant, you're just watching them be like, soon they're gonna come back to us, you
And this
know.
is how I was arguing with a friend yesterday, Kool-Aid. I was telling him that slavery, colonialism, everything, most of it was done not by the whites. It was done by them dividing us against each other and watching us destroy each other. Then they pick up the pieces. Perfect example in Venezuela now, they gave the Nobel Prize to a woman who wants to overthrow the government. So now the US will give her a Nobel
Why?
Prize. Yeah, no, because they said that she's fighting for freedom in Venezuela because Venezuela is a socialist country. So now there's no way they can attack Venezuela unless they call one of the people there to work for them and to destroy them. Same thing, Afabi, same thing with the Yorubas. It was the war between the Oba and his nephew that the
Yeah,
nephew now
sure.
invited the British. He
Sure.
invited the British to come into Nigeria to help beat his uncle and said, okay, you can bring your weaponry in here and I don't mind being your vassal. So this is the same type of thing. The DA is watching us I said us, but what I mean by black people, the DA is watching blacks in South Africa fight amongst each other. ANC would rather work with DA than work with MK Party or EFF. EFF, MK Party, they're all fighting each other. They're doing corruption. And what will happen is by the time they're done, black people in South Africa will be like, please, DA, please come back. And I have another thing to say. DA is probably funded heavily by Britain and America. So they'll give them money to run a proper campaign and say, hey, look, let's clean up South Africa. They'll be tied to people like Rupert and stuff. So this is a message to black South Africans. Hold ANC accountable. Vote for EFF, vote for MK Party, and also force ANC to go into national unity with those guys other than DA. And also work with DA maybe also. Maybe that's what we need in South Africa is a balance between all of the parties. But the black parties in South Africa have to get their act together, or South Africa will be ruled by the DA, and nobody will complain. If it means that whistleblowers stop getting killed, this lady that got killed dropping her daughter at school, if it means that white folks have to rule the country for that to stop, then so be it. We hope it doesn't get to that. What are your last thoughts, Alex?
I think in terms of Lisiba being put on suspension, I think it was less about corruption, which was exposed by Beta. And it was more about public perception. Things now are getting hot and people are digging deeper and deeper. So you felt like, oh my gosh, I need to put him on suspension. Otherwise, people are going to start thinking that I'm also involved in this corruption scandal, which he probably is as well. So, yeah, he just wanted to be seen to be doing something.
Yeah. So it's just a reaction, and then they'll wait for the news to die down, which is why the news shouldn't die down. For example, we're not even talking about the police scandal that happened in Durban some few months ago. We have to keep talking about these things. Also, the VTB banking with Shivambu and Malema. These things should continually be talked until it's fully investigated. Sort of like a follow-up. You know how in the U.S. people are saying release the Epstein files on Trump. You have to keep saying that because if the news cycles change and next week we'll be talking about another scandal. That's how they win. They just bring another scandal over and over, and we won't address the scandal. So there needs to be a full investigation of this thing, and some people need to be arrested or fined or fired. I'm not a dreamer. I don't think it can go all the way up to the president. But if I were Ramaphosa, what I would do, but the problem is those guys have dirt on him too. That's the problem, But somebody has to take the fall. I'm not gonna lie. If I were Ramaphosa, I would tell this guy, hey, look, you'll go to jail for 2 years, but don't worry, I'll give your family $500 million. I'm serious. I know that sounds bad. He has to do something. We need a scapegoat. Somebody needs to, but also after that, after this thing stops, they have to stop moving forward. They have to stop doing this corruption. But what I'm afraid of is that Ramaphosa will continue doing corruption and continue stealing, and his friends will continue stealing. So they want to do it with an impunity. They don't want to stop doing it. So it seems like nobody's going to get, like you said, a bunch of people are getting fined. They're getting fired. Their cars are being taken, but nobody's being taken to court and arrested. What are your thoughts? Last thought. What are your thoughts, Alex? Then we'll go to Afolabi. Yeah.
My last thought is that there's no hope for Black leaders in South Africa at this point. There's no hope. There's no one that we can trust. The only thing that we can do is to just remain united and to keep, reminding people, keep talking about this scandal, until something happens. That's the only thing that we can do at this point.
And I think what it means then is South Africa has to have activists. People who aren't running for office, they need to have strong activists like Biko and in the past. Once you run for office,
oh my gosh, yes, we do need that actually.
Yeah. Because once you go into politics, the money is too much, and then you'll become even if you don't become corrupt, you'll give up your what you call it, your ambition to truly change the country. So South Africa needs a cultural and activist movement to get rid of this rubbish, man. What are your thoughts, Afolabi? Is Afolabi there? He must have I think he's on mute.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that I feel opposition parties like EFF and oh shit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's going on, man? We're waiting for you. You must have been arguing with somebody.
I can hear you. I can hear. Can you hear me?
What are your last thoughts?
Yeah, so what I was saying is that I feel that opposition parties like the EFF and DA are likely to use this as a case to prove that the ANC has failed to root out corruption, first and foremost. Then secondly, overall, this case is shaping up to be a major test of Lesufi's leadership and the AN's credibility in Gauteng. It doesn't look good for the ANC at all. And if Ramaphosa does not investigate this in a transparent manner, he is going to be seen as culpable. But if he does a good investigation and real prosecutions and recoveries follow, it might help to rebuild some trust, perhaps.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Alex has already said it. That's not going to happen. Ramaphosa is not going to.
Yeah, sure.
You can't bring it up. Let me tell you, black or white, all politicians are corrupt. Do you think Trump is going to expose corruption in America? If he does,
no, never.
It's going to affect. Or Nigeria's Tinubu. They won't. So what I was saying with Alex is that what really needs to be done is that the people of the country, the labor union, the activists, the grassroots movements, everybody,
they need to rise up
and hold these guys accountable.
Yeah.
They do it in Europe. In France, when French people want something, they throw tires on the road. They burn the town. I'm basically propagating terrorism. They don't kill people, but they burn cars. They break stores and break windows. They fight.
And they're ready to die.
And they go on strike. That's what South Africa. But before South Africans do that, they have to awaken to the conclusion that ANC is gone.
Yeah, they will never save them. They will never save them.
Yeah, which they don't want to admit it because it's too painful. It's like, let's say you're married for 40 years and you find out your wife or your husband doesn't love you. You'll just tell yourself, no, we can still fix it. No, you can't fix it. Because we know ANC. I grew up liking Mandela because I'm 50 years old. But at some point, I say, okay, forget it, man. These guys are fucked up, man.
Yeah.
That's all you can say.
Absolutely.
They're fucked up. All right. Take us out of Falabi.
Okay, it's been another brilliant show. We've been discussing fraud in Gauteng and how the ANC appears to be culpable and how Ramaphosa has to be decisive in investigating this to clean himself up along with the ANC. I'm from Alex, Mustafa, and myself. We'll be back again.
Yeah. When you said clean yourself up, I thought about Zuma when he took a shower after sleeping with a girl who had HIV.
Oh my gosh.
Clean yourself up, take a shower. All right, let's get out of here, man.
Yeah, sure.